For the feast of Saints Perpetua and Felicita, I shall read from the vision given to Maria Valtorta by our Lord Jesus Christ on March the 1st, 1944, and it's contained in the 1944 notebooks. At about 5 p.m, Jesus says to me, "It was not my intention to give you this vision this afternoon. I intended to have you live through another episode in the Gospels of faith." And no doubt Jesus is referring to the very detailed epic of his public life, which he's given to Maria Valtorta in numerous visions up to that point and after that. "But a desire has been expressed to me by someone deserving to be heard, and I am complying." I don't think we find out who that person is, but they've obviously prayed to our Lord. Maybe they prayed to our Lord and asked specifically about Maria Valtorta being given a vision. And so it may be somebody in her circle, but we don't find out. Anyway, this is why Jesus is giving this vision. "In spite of your pains, see, observe, and describe. Give your pains to me, and the description to your brothers and sisters. And in spite of my very intense pains, whereby it seems to me that my head is clasped in a bite, starting from the nape of my neck, coming together on my brow, and moving on down my spinal column, a terrible ache because of which I thought meningitis was about to erupt, and then I fainted. I am writing. This is very intense even now, but Jesus allows me to manage to write so as to obey. Afterwards, what will be, will be." Note that here Jesus is not relieving her pain, and is expecting her to write in the midst of this great pain. Though he is, as she says, allowing her to manage to write amidst this pain, so he's relieving the pain, obviously. This would seem to a very modern Catholic a very odd and perverse thing for our Lord to do, if it is indeed our Lord here. But pre-Vatican II Catholics know that it was a very normal thing to consider pains, misfortunes, setbacks as things to offer up to Jesus, as sacrifices. We are to make sacrifices to the Lord, and we are to seek to join our difficulties with his suffering, and thus we can gain merit for ourselves. There is a point where Jesus asks Maria Valtorta if she would like to be cured. He's offering to cure her, but she declines. This is somewhere in one of the 3 big notebooks, so I don't know where right now. She wants to continue offering her suffering to Jesus in the true Catholic tradition. There's nothing wrong in asking for cures. One day I'll do a video where Jesus speaks about having faith for healing. But it seems that the royal road is one where we offer our sufferings, our physical pains, to our Lord and the setbacks we have in life. Maria Valtorta carries on saying, "I assure you, in the meantime, that I'm going from surprise to surprise. For first of all, I'm facing some Africans, or at least Arabs, whereas I always thought these saints were Europeans, for I didn't have the slightest idea of their social and physical condition, or their martyrdom. I knew about Agnes's life and death, but as for these, it is as if I'm reading an unknown tale." I'll stop there for a moment. Those of you who've watched my videos will know that Jesus is described as having blue eyes and coppery blonde hair. And Mary is described as having blue eyes and blonde hair. And both of them have very white skin. And this leads some to say this can't be the case. But actually, I remember answering somebody's query about this. The occupants of that part of the world, long before the Hebrews colonized it, were people of a range of skin and physical types, eye types, complexions. And there's also work done by I think a rabbi or a Jewish scientist anyway, who's pretty much established this, that we don't speak of Hebrews as just dark skinned, dark haired, dark eyed. There was a great range amongst them. So we need not be surprised at Maria Valtorta's descriptions of our Lord and Our Lady. But in case one would think, oh well, you know, she's a European, she sees these paintings and they're all very European. Well, here we have a contradiction of that, because she thought the saints Perpetua and Felicita were Europeans, because of no doubt she'd seen pictures of them like that. But now in the vision she's seeing them as Arabic or African, North African. Resuming then. As an initial illustration, before I fainted, I saw an amphitheater, more or less like the Colosseum, but not in ruins, which was at the moment not occupied by a crowd. Only a very beautiful Moorish girl was standing upright in the middle, upraised from the ground, radiant, with a beatific light issuing from her dark body and dark clothing covering her. She seemed to be the angel of the locality. She looked at me and smiled. I then fainted and saw nothing more. Now the vision is being completed. I am in a building which, with its lack of any and every comfort and harsh appearance, I see must be a fortress being used as a jail. It is not the Tullianum dungeon I saw yesterday. Here there are little rooms and super-elevated corridors, but they have so little space and light, and are endowed with so many bars and iron doors covered with bolts, that the trace of superiority they possess as regards their position is cancelled out by their severity, which negates even the slightest idea of freedom. The Moorish girl I saw in the amphitheatre is sitting on a wooden board which serves as a bed, chair and table. Now she is not emitting light, but only great peace. She's holding a baby a few months old on her lap and giving him milk. She rocks him and coddles him with an act of love. The baby plays with his young mother, rubs his very swarthy face against his mother's dark breast, and clings to and separates from it with impetuous milk-filled chortles. The girl is quite pretty, an even, rather rounded face, with large, very lovely, velvet black eyes. A small, tumid mouth filled with very white, even teeth, and black, rather curly hair, which is nevertheless held in place by tight braids coiling around her head. Her skin colour is olive brown, not very dark. Even among us Italians, especially in southern Italy, you see that colour, only a little lighter. When she gets up to put the baby to sleep, going back and forth across the cell, I see that she is tall and graciously curvaceous, not excessively buxom, but quite shapely. She looks like a queen with her dignified bearing. She is wearing a simple dress, almost as dark as her skin, which falls in soft folds over her lovely body.